So of course you work with the light you got. I mean, you go walk places that you want to see or you think is interesting, and it could be something happening. And here we have strong sunshine, and normally people have this idea that sunshine is photography weather, but it's actually not. But here in Central Park it's actually nice. And one thing you have to train your eyes to when you have strong sunshine is that the eye adjusts for everything all the time. So when I look in the shadow over here, I see dark grass, but it's not black. And I look in the sunshine, I see bright grass, but it's not white. But as soon as you take a camera sees much higher contrast. So when I take a picture of this and I look at the picture after, then I'll see that now I actually have a whole graphic shadow that is almost black, and I have grass that is almost white. And especially if I focus on a person here, the background may blow out completely, but I still have dark shadows, and also have on the trees I have highlights on the top and shades on the bottom. So that's part of what you have to train to see. This is the effect it's going to be of it. And sometimes I'll play around with people walking through shadows, and then there's just a little instant where they have light in the face, and then I expose for the light in the face, and then everything else is just going to fall where it falls, and that means that the shadow is going to be completely black. So you're not actually trying to do what you see, you're trying to make what can you make with the camera, and with this type of shadows it looks really dramatic, and it's part of what I like on this walk path here. When we have lots of trees, it looks really dramatic with the people, and you have a lot of shapes, not just people, you have a lot of interesting shapes. And the same goes of course with buildings. You have windows that suddenly it becomes a pattern and not just the windows that you see. So that's something to look at. So when you look at this asphalt, you think it's black asphalt, but if you look at it here, you actually see it's maybe 20 or 30% gray here, and in the shade there you're like 90 or 80 or maybe even 100% black. So it's still black asphalt. It's how much light is reflected on it or from it, and also the fence here is black all the way, but I actually have on this side of it maybe it's 70% black, on this one is 80-90%. So that's how you look at the light and see how is it actually going to look in the picture. It's not a matter of what is the color of the material, it's a matter of how much reflection you have. And also the thing that when you move, the reflection changes here. So I have water here, it's wet street, so when I move I gotta start to get a reflection. So some of it actually going to be highlights, it's going to be overexposed way above white. And some of the stuff that I think is just, well, maybe I don't see the shadow, but the camera sees the shadow really strong as a almost black shadow. So keep an eye out for that. That's another thing you get addicted to. You can turn this EVF, so you can shoot this way, and somehow people just don't think you're taking photos when you're looking at them through this one. And here I will expose for the highlights. I don't expose for the shadows. The shadows is going to be dark, but the highlights have to be the correct exposure. So when I have a face in the light, it has to have the right skin tones. So I'll see now, I'm just going to pre-focus for over there somewhere and be ready with my frame. Yeah, there we go. And sometimes I see that the subject comes too close, the wrong place in the frame. So I'm going to change it. There we go. So I'll notice where do people walk or run, and then I'll set my focus so they're going to be, for example, in this 1/3 over here or something. And just wait for a really cool person. Generally, if you just stand still, people don't notice you. It's like cars moving. I see 2 cars parked down there, so they're parked, I don't have to look at them. If they were moving all the time, I would all the time look at them. So it's the same, if you just stand still, nobody really notices you. And now I see bicycles down here, so I have to go down the bicycles. Yeah, so here they even have a chair you can sit. So you can sit very still and people don't really notice you. I'll just set my focus point in my frame. I have my exposure here. I have this one. I actually want to have the focus over here instead, that side of the frame. So the principle here is the same. I have a focus point. It doesn't matter if it's bicycle or running people or walking people. I'm just gonna wait for them to come into the focus. And I have my frame here already with the buildings behind and some really interesting lines here. I have people are probably going to be maybe in the shade when I take the photo, so we'll see how that works. And I try to hold the camera upright like this so I get straight lines. I have the buildings behind. If I tilt it like this, the buildings are going to go different. So I have the camera upright like this and then like this. So I try to keep a straight frame. I actually have lines in here so I can see what is completely straight. Yeah, this is the live sunshine and you can sit down, just wait for your subjects. You just need a coffee. I have an ugly fence here, but it's outside my frame because my frame is right here. And that's also part of it. It doesn't matter what happens next to you. There could be a highway over here. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be in the picture. So I changed my focus a little bit where I expect people are going to be in the frame. So I have them placed in a nice place. There we go. So that's right in the middle of the street. Was his dad before? Yeah. Looking good? Also, I don't want to be in people's way. So you have bicycle people walking, you cannot be so they're going to walk outside. You kind of have to be on the side so you get them on the track you want them. So now I've been here for about 10 minutes and I got some good shots. And so it's kind of like I pick a location and then I work with it. And I say it's not really a lot of stuff is happening here. It's not that you feel it's a historic photo, but it still is in a way because this weather and this time of year and this exact location is kind of, it's a nice one to have done if some of it works. I'm going to go have a coffee because it's really cold. But then I'll find something else where I think this is really cool. And you can see the picture here. I mean, you have an atmosphere that is kind of unique, even if it's just like in the middle of the street or whatever you want to call it. It's just the side of the street here. There's nothing special about it. It's not there's no well-known buildings or historic places or historic people in it, but it still works. So now I'm going to have a coffee and you can do the same. Pause the video and have a coffee.